welcome back. Like the guy said, I am your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy, and this is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560.
The Answer.
Here with my nephew, co-host, and realtor, Jim Leahy, and our technical producer, Deborah Schreiner. We're here every Sunday at 5 o'clock to inform you about IRS problems, also mortgage, foreclosures, and loan modifications, bankruptcy, and other debt-related issues. See what I did there, Jim?
But if you know anybody who has these issues, and you all do, that's the thing.
Yes.
We all know somebody who's got these issues, and a lot of times people are embarrassed. We talked about this on a show. I was watching a previous show that you had with my father when you first started. You guys talked about this, how people are just embarrassed to kind of step forward, and and you shouldn't be.
We can talk about that. That makes sense because I got a couple calls this week about people who are embarrassed and they're afraid to. What do I have to do? It takes a lot. It takes.
I mean,
time.
I get the embarrassment.
No, I get it.
I get it.
But you still have to address it, whether you're embarrassed about it or not. Don't be embarrassed with me because I've heard it all. Okay, so to me, it's just a legal problem, and I'm happy to help solve that legal problem.
It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog.
And I'm going to help you solve a legal problem now, because hopefully, we're going to talk about it because I've talked a lot about on this show about the Offer and Compromise, this Fresh Start initiative, just recently too. But I had a client in my office. They ran a business, and that business had some financial problems, and they incurred a lot of payroll tax issues. Now, what happens when you owe the IRS money for payroll, what my business does, is they will impose what they call a trust fund recovery against the person.
The trust fund recovery
penalty.
Oh.
It's a trust fund recovery penalty. And they impose that penalty against what they call responsible people. So it could be the owner, it could be an accountant, it could be just the bookkeeper of the business, it could be all of them, right? They want to throw a wide net. The trust fund portion of the payroll taxes is that portion that was subtracted from the employee's paycheck. So the employee's contributions to Medicare, to Social Security, to their federal income taxes. Okay, so the employer deducts that from their paycheck, and then so they don't give the employee that money, and then holds that money in trust for the government, for the federal government. Well, when you don't pay that money over to the government, then the company goes under, which is a very it's a good sign that you probably aren't going to make it financially if you can't pay your taxes and you're taking money from your employees in order to pay the bills. You're probably not going to make it very long. So if that business goes under, then the tax goes with it. The business doesn't owe the tax anymore because the business it doesn't exist anymore. So now the IRS doesn't have anybody to go after. So they can impose that. And now you don't have to close for this to happen, but the IRS then takes that trust fund portion and they can go after an owner, as I mentioned, a responsible party, and try to collect the money from them. And that's what happened in this case. And it was several $100,000. They also had a lot of guaranteed loans. So the business had a lot of loans to help them stay afloat, and usually the owner will give a personal guarantee to back those loans for the business. And in this case, that's what happened. And they were working with a company for the taxes, but they were having all these problems with debt, and they came to see me. We filed the Chapter 7 bankruptcy for them and got them free of all that debt, but not the tax debt, because the trust fund portion is not dischargeable in bankruptcy. That trust fund portion is never going to be dischargeable in bankruptcy. So now they come out of bankruptcy, they're free of all that other debt, but they still have this several $100,000 in taxes that they owe and that the IRS will start collecting on. And they've been getting a lot of mail from people about pay pennies on the dollar, what they call the Offer and Compromise. And this is the easy thing to sell, right? Who wants, if I owe the IRS money and someone asks you, would you like to pay pennies on a dollar?
Yes.
Well, my hand's up.
Yeah.
I want to pay pennies on a dollar.
What line do I have to stand in for that?
What line? How do I have to
sign where?
How do I make that happen, right? So I want to pay pennies on the dollar. And so, he seems like the perfect, candidate for this, because now he's on a fixed income. He just comes out of bankruptcy. He owes money he can't pay, and so it seems like, because remember now the whenever you're talking about the offer and compromise, the leading thing is doubt the collectability. Are you going to be? The IRS looks at you and say, "Are we going to be able to get the money from you?" And if they doubt the collectability, then they can do an offer and compromise. But what people don't realize is you don't go to the IRS and say, hey, will you take 10 cents on a dollar? Will you take 11 cents on a dollar? How about 15 cents on a dollar? That's not the way it works. There's a calculation involved. And they're looking, what they'll do is they'll look at your assets. So I asked this client, what kind of, we don't really have any assets at all. So that's why we're going to do this offer. We think we don't really have any asset. But then I sat down and talked to them, and I found out, well, they got about $100,000 in equity in their home. They have $80,000 left in a 401k. Well, you're not going to be able to do an offer and compromise and keep that money or the equity in your home. You're not going to get one. You're not going to get a offer and compromise unless you can come up with that equity without selling the home. And that's going to be.
I'm just going through right now. That's going to be impossible. I'm going right through, and you can see it everywhere as you go into an internet search. You could just see, pennies on the dollar, pennies on the dollar.
Because that's the easy sell.
That's what I'm looking at right here, and it's the whole front page.
And again, everybody who wants that? Well, everybody wants that. And so they say, come on. And this is where people get sucked in. And this is what I wanted to talk about on this segment. Okay, because people get sucked in because they want to pay pennies on a dollar, and these outfits will lead you to believe that that's going to happen for you. They don't know if it's going to happen for you because they don't know, and they don't sit down and talk to you like I talk to these people. I sat down and talked to them and asked them questions and determined that this isn't the way for you to go. And the thing is that they're in a currently not collectible status now. So why hire me to try to do an offer for you when I know it's not going to work for you? And that's what these outfits do. They sucker these people in. They promise them something that they probably aren't going to get. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of them are going to get an offer, and there's offers out there, and people get them. We've gotten offers. The best one I think that I could put out is we had someone that owed about $60,000, and we got him an offer for $25.
Get out of $25.
That's not even pennies on it. That's like
let me do the math.
Unbelievable, right?
It's pennies on the pennies.
So can that happen? Yeah, it can happen. But many people, it's not going to happen for. And when that's what they're selling you. And here's another thing that will happen. When you do an offer, and we talk a lot about this show, what they call the CSED, which is called this Collection Statute Expiration Date. There is a time after which the IRS won't be able to collect the money from you. But if I file a bunch of offers, I'm adding time. And instead of being 10 years, it's going to be 11 years, it's going to be 12 years, it's going to be 15 years. And it's never going to go away.
And you just think it's going to go. It's just like, for example, we had Executive Green Carpet Clean come on for our Trust Radio Network, which is every Saturday at 10. And they talked about how they have mold that has been growing on one of their clients, and it just is on the ceiling, and it's spread. Well, it's kind of like these cascades. It's
because they waited too long.
You wait too long, and all of a sudden the problem becomes worse and worse and worse.
That's right. But again, don't be suckered into these promises. Now, again, it could work for you, but if they're not asking you the right questions, that's why I never sell somebody an offer. If they say if I have people come to see me and they say I want an offer and that's what I want you to do for me, I won't take the case because probably an offer is not the right thing for you to do, and I won't know until I do an investigation. And I'm not going to do an investigation and find out it's not right for you, and then you say, well, you told me you were going to give me an offer, and now you're not going to give me an offer because it's not going to work for you. So I won't take that case. Okay, so when you're looking to solve your IRS problem, you have to do a thorough investigation of not only where you are today, but also your background and all of that.
It's kind of like my
that's why you have to call.
It's kind of like my tagline. Let's start thinking about tomorrow. Yes. Well, you got to do it when it comes to the IRS. Ladies and gentlemen, Open Tax Resolution is there for you. 312-664-6649 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. This could be your hub to fight the IRS. Don't let this problem fester. Address it today.
Uncle Fester, see what I did there?
With the old music, too. I like how this is going. But don't let the problem become worse. Address it today. Don't be embarrassed. Get the help needed. Open tax resolution. Now listen to our sponsors and come right back on AM 560.
The Answer.